G'day and welcome to another episode. My name is Deisha, the Oz Geek, and today we are looking at the Legacy A Hero is Born, Alpha Trion, and Orion packs. So, this has goods, it has bads. Let me start off by saying the reason I got this set was simply because I wanted Alpha Trion, because as much as I'm collecting the Age of the Primes, they're giving us A3, and I really wanted Alpha Trion so I could have an older version, so this is the reason I bought it. In saying that, this Alpha Trion, for those who don't know, a base is basically the Studio Series Scourge slash Sweep mold with some changes. And of course, this is the Studio Series Cup remolded in some places to be Orion packs. Now, let me start by saying, if your cup is anything like this Orion, I feel sorry for you because I do not like this Orion very much. I have the Power of the Primes Optimus that had the transition for Orion as my Orion. I still do, and I prefer him. So let me know, honestly, after this review, if you got the Studio Series Cup or this version of Orion. Let me know if you have any issues with it like I do. It's mostly build quality. But yeah, so we have Alpha Trion, we have Orion, we do have other accessories in that, but we'll get to that in a minute. So we'll do one at a time. We'll start off with Orion because I've already done the sweep reviews, so we might as well do something I have not done yet. So here is Orion. Here's, like I said, the cup mold. The plastic to me does not feel very good. It feels rather cheap. I think the painting in some places is very, very sloppy, especially like here is his crutch plate. These two holes look absolutely atrocious in my opinion. He, of course, the way I can tell without Googling it, this guy is obviously the Studio Series Cup mold, because when he came in the box, he had one arm off and he had one leg off, which of course is designed so that you can do the scene from the 86 movie where Cup gets attacked by the squid, which is great and all, but honestly, I'm half tempted to put some nail polish on that to tighten those up so they are less likely to pop out. And of course, depending on how it's done, you may have seams visible and whatnot, which is absolutely terrible in my opinion. So he does come with, obviously, Cup's gun, done in red instead of bluey green. He also comes with Cup's Energon dispenser, his little Energon goodies. But I do have a weird thing. Now, I tried using this in his hand, doesn't fit. This does. So, I don't know. Does Cup have a gimmick? Like I said, I don't own a Cup. I don't own the Studio Series Cup. I own the Fans Toys version of Cup. I think was it Lock or something like that. I did it years ago. But this is the only piece that I can find to hold in his hand, and I just find it really peculiar that they have the see-through piece as the hand holder. So that's bizarre. So that's it for Cup's accessories. So let's get down to articulation. So head can do a full 360. Head can look up, can look a bit down. Backpack easily untabs. Does have side to side, so I think it's a more of a ball joint. Arms can rotate. Arms can go up that far. Obviously go out that far. I suppose if you wanted for just a weirdness, you can use that piece to get it out like there as well. You have your bicep rotation, which is, of course, that piece there. You have a single jointed elbow that gets you that far, which isn't too bad. No wrist rotation. None, which is odd. You know, yes, I admit it's a bit holy back there, but I'm amazed. You have, at least on mine, a very tight waist rotation. No ab crunch. I was trying to think what the word was. Leg goes up that far. Leg goes back that far. mine's rather tight, leg goes out that far. Those panels do not want to stay together. Like I said, you have that seam joint there. There is your upper thigh rotation. Single jointed knee gets you that far. You have ankle tilt that gets you that far. Nothing at the heel. And toe goes all the way down, but that is for transformation. All right, let's get this guy transformed. And the transformation feels clumsy. I want to say that. It feels clumsy. So what we're going to do first is we're going to lift these up like so, and they are going to untab. You have a tab here that goes into a port here. I'm also going to straighten his arms straight up for something I'm going to do soon. So it looks like he's doing a weird Superman pose. Come back here, and if this has none tabbed already, you have two tabs. Two tabs that go into these two ports, and fold that out. All right, now the head, if you can stay focused, the head sort of tabs on under these and at the same time doesn't. So just sort of pop that up just carefully, and then bring your tires around. All right, so what are we going to do next? So I think we might do the legs just to get them sort of kind of partly started. So you're going to fold in the toes. You're going to bring down the shin cover, and I'm trying to remember which other figure does this. But you have this angle here. You need to pop it up, and you have sort of dual spots. So the bottom one is for when it's in robot mode. The top part is for vehicle mode. So that tabs on there if it wants to stay. Fold that down, rotate that, or angle it, and that's your legs pretty much done for now, if things want to stay tabbed where they're supposed to be. All right, now the arms are weird, and I don't like them. Like I said, there's a lot of things on this figure I don't like. But what you want to do, I'm trying to figure out the best way to show this. You need to rotate his shoulder out. So it's all about figuring out where you can put pressure without ripping that off. So there we go, that's that one. And we're going to go out. I think if we go in, yeah, I think that's just right. So it should just sort of sit there. I think this one's the tighter of the two. Like I said, it's just a matter of getting, that was looser, getting your finger in the right spot without ripping that off. I'm a little iffy about that. All right, next, if it hasn't already, you want to untab his torso. So this tabs into here. And what we want to do is straighten our arms out. And we want to, I'm just trying to remember which angle this has got to go. Yeah, so you want your elbows pointed up. So this is going to come up, and I honestly wish this sort of went in a little bit further, but this is going to come up. You have these two tabs here that's going to go just in his chest. And if you've got that waist just how you're supposed to, because this sort of slides up with it, that's going to tab into there. It doesn't hold firmly. You need to lock a few more things. All right, so I'm going to bring this behind. I'm just trying to figure out if I've got that shoulder in the right spot. So these shoulders have to go under here as well. So, maybe I need to get a little bit further. Yeah, probably shouldn't have gone so high. So this is going to come behind here. This is going to go in here, and it's got a few tabbing points. You have this little tab that's going to go into this little piece here, and I'll let you know when I find the rest. So that comes around there. That tabs in there. And I'm just trying to make sure that I've got that the right way around. I think I've got to turn the other way around. Yep, turn around the other way. So the elbow's pointing down because of how that's going to tab in. So, as I said, I've got that too far. Just got to get that down. Once again, it's just trying to get that without shearing things off. I don't like it. So that goes in there. I would have liked it if the actual arms tabbed in together, but they don't. I wish they did. All right, so this comes up here, tabs in there, so we have our wheels, and these are going to come down into here. So you want to get that ab up, get that down, and you want to angle your elbows down, and these are going to come in. Now, trying to figure out the better way to do this. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to do the hands first and hopefully get them tabbed where I want them. So this is going to flip around. This is going to flip around and tab together. Now, if your hips are like mine, you may have to give them a squeeze. And I do not have my arms where I need to, so the canopy has to come down further. And then you have these two tabs that are going to go into his hands. So line them up best you can. Get that back together, like so. And once again, we have a little bit of fiddliness, a little bit. This is going to rotate over. This tab's going to go behind into the wheel well. And then this tab here, is going to sort of go into sort of the back groove. I'll see if I can show it. Better show than tell. So forward, and then try to angle that in there. Bring that over, and this is going to go into here, like that. Once it's tabbed in, it's fairly secure. It's just a matter of getting there first. All right, so bring this over. And get that behind there. Press that in a bit. I think there is actually a tab on the inside here as well that I forgot. And just give it a squeeze. Make sure everything's nice and secure. Like I said, once it's together, it's pretty fair. It's just a matter of getting there. But like I said, I don't like the feel of the plastic. It feels a bit too cheap, in my opinion. But there is Orion in his vehicle mode, which is, of course, Cup's no tailgate pickup truck. I do think this looks better as Dion than Orion, in my opinion, but it is what it is. So try to get that focused. And of course, we can put his accessories on here. We can take the gun. It has a port on the side, and that, I believe, plugs into there. No, is it there? Not there, up the front. Then, of course, we can take our Energon dispenser, and we can plug that in like that, and there he is. Now, as for size comparison, here he is with Windblade, of course, and he's about half her size, give or take. I'm not transforming my Cup, bugger that for an idea, but there is that. So there we go. So we can take these off, and let's get him transformed back into robot mode. So first things first, we are going to try and get those pieces back here untabbed and folded back. So fold all that way back. I'm just having a look. I'm sure there's a tab there somewhere. I just can't see it. So get that out. Try it again. Get that out. Come on. All right, I'm going to do it this way just to make it easier. So I'm going to split these, and I'm going to untab the hands, which can be easier said than done, depending on if you have nails and whatnot. Flip these up, and these tab into here too. And that should give me enough wiggle room, maybe, to get that untabbed. Doesn't feel too good, and that comes back. Then we are going to rotate up a bit. We don't want to fully tab in at the chest yet, at the torso. We are going to get these arms out best we can. Then we can bring, if you bring this up to put the tab in, all this sort of folds with it. So just untab that, then try to find where that tapping mechanism is, which I think I've got it. Then what we can do is we can rotate our wheels in you then want to grab the head and just force the plastic tabs behind it to lock it into those wheels. We can then bring these down, and like I said, that tabs in. But this is a little bit easier when you're trying to rotate that back in place. You'll go do a little sort of click, and then our arm's fine. Same on this side. You may need to drop these a little bit, but tab that in, rotate that, and that locks that into place. We can then fold this, and providing it'll stay, you have this tab that goes into the grey bit here, and then these tab into the back of the wheel wells. Not very securely, but they do tab. And then we have our wonky legs. So we fold down the feet. We straighten that out again. Once again, you're using that other part of the tab. Straighten his leg. Bring this down. Straighten that. Tab that in. It's not very secure on mine. And fold these out. And there is Orion back in his robot mode. So there we go. We'll do other size comparisons once we've got this all out of the way. So we'll put Orion to the side for a moment, and we will get back to Alpha Trion. All right, Alpha Trion. Like I said, this is the reason I got the set, because I wanted an older looking Alpha Trion. Also, for the time being, that Orion is my 13th. I'm not getting Star Convoy, so surprise. My Titans basically stopped at Scorponok. So yeah, this guy transforms pretty much identical to, well, he does transform identical to Scourge and the Sweeps. My biggest concern is the paint, especially on his face, because there's a lot of paint on there. Now, it could be decent on there. I'm just not overly trusting of it. But like I said, everything else is Scourge. So articulation, his head can go this far, get stopped by his beard, go that far, stopped by his beard, look up a little bit, look down a little bit, and has side to side, although it feels a bit loose. Arms can't do a full 360 due to the backpack. You can, of course, angle the backpack a little bit if you want for a little bit extra articulation. Arm goes out that far. Bicep rotation is literally in the middle of the bicep. Elbow bend gets you that far. Obviously, there was just something I realized I didn't do, which I couldn't do anyway. Wrists do have rotation, and of course, hands are different. Oh, no, they're not. They're just reverse. Okay, I'm just literally looking at my Scourge. So I think my Scourge, one of the sweeps, is actually closed. So there's that. So waist rotation, no ab crunch. Leg goes up that far and for some weird reason angles itself. Goes back that far, but you start running into backpack. Goes out that far. You have technically mid-thigh rotation. Hip slash, whatever you want to call it. Very tight knee bend, at least on this one. You have a, thank God it's just C-clips. You have a little bit of ankle bend, ankle rotation, twist, whatever. Toe goes all the way down, and you have heel. Goes like so. Now, he does have his own accessories, and he has a purple gun. Yes, I think it's coming through more blue. Damn lilac. Like I said, there is other accessories, but we will get to them in time. So let's get this guy transformed, and I wouldn't transform this guy too much because I am a little bit concerned about the paint. So, like I said before, it's basically Scourge's transformation, so I'm just trying to remember how this works. So, fold up his... Oh, that reminds me, 5mm ports. This is what I couldn't do on Orion because he doesn't really have any. So you have two here, you have one here, you have one here, one here, obviously his hands. One here, one here. I think there's one on his back when that transforms, so we'll get to that when we get to it. All right, so we fold in his toes. We have a tab here that goes into this port, which will tab his feet together. We tap his feet together. Thank you. Then what we want to do is we want to drop his shoulders. So there's a hinge in here. That will bring that down, and there is a wonky, weird-looking port here, which will tab onto here. So just make sure things straighten up and are nice and snug, like so. All right, so we have the backpack, we have the chest. I'm trying to remember how this works. All right, so we're going to untab and bring this out. So there's a tab here that goes into this port here, which holds his backpack together, like so. We want to bring all this out. So this is all going to detach from the chest. So that all folds out. And you want it straight as far as it'll go. This is one of the main reasons I'm concerned about that beard. We can bring this up. We're going to bring this all back. And you have these two tabs that go into these two ports. Like so. Get on there. 1, 2, like so. Now you may need a tool or a toothpick or something to get this out. I'm hoping I'm not going to scratch this with my thing, but you need to get this piece that's going to come up. So I'm just going to flatten that out. There we go. Because I thought for whatever reason you had to flip this way. You don't. You flip this way. So this comes down. And I'm just looking for any tabbing or anything. There is a tab there. I'm just not quite sure where it tabs into. This will fold back, so that will cover his face. That's the piece I'm very iffy about. And then this will come up and sit into the back of his head. So all that sits reasonably flat. All right, so then we have all this. So we're going to fold this back. It's on a double hinge, so here and here, and we'll do the same on the other side. All right, we're going to get all this together so we don't have to fold too much. So providing that hasn't folded back in yet, you have a port inside here that's going to tab into here. See if you can see that. Just sort of do your best to tab that together. Just be somewhat careful because it's not very thick. And then this is going to come open a bit. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold this in so this comes into here and this gets this ready. And of course, this back piece is going to go over this tab. So make sure that pink piece is open. So fold that in, and just get that to the front there. It'll click in rather nicely. And then just get this piece over that tab, like so. And that just encompasses the hand. I was going to say, that definitely doesn't go over, doesn't go under. It'll probably be better once things are actually pushed into each other. All right, same thing on the other side. So we're going to find that tab, get it, and lock that in place. Like doing too much to it. Fold that open. This is all going to collapse in, and I'm doing a terrible job. So this collapses in, and this tab is going to hook in with that port. So just make sure they intertwine with each other like so. Give things a little squeeze, not a hard squeeze, just a little. And make sure things are sitting where they're supposed to. These can fold out as need be. And these don't really have tabbing points. They just sort of sit in place. So there's that. And there is Alpha Trion in his Cybertronian shuttle mode. Now, I am one of those believers that I think Alpha Trion has gotten that old. He doesn't remember what he transforms into anymore. So the fact that he has a transformation, I'm not a fan. I won't lie, I am not a fan of Alpha Trion having a transformation mode, which is why for the longest time I had planned to get like a Super 7 Alpha Trion or a Statue Alpha Trion to fit the role. But for those of you who need a transformation for your Alpha Trion, it could have been worse. Honestly, yeah, we had the Rhino thing unicorn for Transformers 1, so there's that. So honestly, I don't know what you would really have for Alpha Trion, considering he was the prime of scribing and whatnot. So there we go. So as for size comparison, there he is with Windblade. So about roughly the same size, give or take. And like I said, this is the Scourge Sweep mold. So if you have those, then you know exactly how big this thing is. I'm actually just figuring out whether I should put his... And I see us going first. And as for ports, you can still access this one and this one, those two. And that's it, of course. You can take his weapon. And you can plug that in the side if you want. I'm not displaying mine with a weapon because, nah. And I think that's about it. It would be nice if there was one for there, but that's more Scourge anyway. Alright, so let's get back to robot mode. Alright, so we are going to open up these pieces. And we're going to try and get at least one half of these to pop out. So very carefully, going to flip that out all the way. And we can do the same thing on the other side now that we have a little bit more leeway, possibly. I have to fold those side bits out first, and then we'll get that out there. So that'll all explode. Then we want to bring this down. Bring this down. There is I think it's this port here that's actually getting on it. But like I said, I'm concerned that too much of this rubbing against that is going to be a problem. So that can fold back here. You can untab that. And we're going to accordion this in. So we want this up, this down. So we need to get this hinge under there. So this is not tapping back in there. Oh, it is kinda. So line that up. This can come down flat. And this can come down accordingly. All right, we have the wings. So you're going to untab that if it isn't already. Slide this all back up. Slide that into, I forgot, like so. And then you're going to bring it back and you have this port here for this tab. So that will tab lock your wings into place. Same on the other side. Bring that in, bring that up, and then bring that back. And like I said, there is a little bit give if you want his cape a little bit further back to give your arms a little bit more room. We can then untab his arms, and they're going to come up. So this port will go into that tab, like so. Same on the other side. Bring his arms down. We can split the legs, bring up his feet, knock back his heel if it'll let you. Other one, and bring that out. And there is Alpha Trion back in his robot mode, and he looks good. Like I said, I wasn't a fan of the concept of him being using the sweep design. Oh, by the way, you can also then fold those down. I wasn't initially a fan of the sweep design for Alpha Trion, but considering we're also getting another Cybertronian ship jet mode thing for A3, what can I do about it? All right, so we do have a couple other accessories we can get into, and we'll bring Orion back in for this. You do have Vector Sigma, which is technically on the wrong angle. So this comes in two parts. So you have your stand, that just plugs in there. It's just like so. It really should be sitting somewhat like this, but take that what's worth. Now, this next piece, I will once again say I am concerned for the paint. We do have the key to Vector Sigma. I think it was called. Come on. This is where we play silly buggers to try and focus. The golden key. I want to say the key to Vector Sigma was what that thing they stole in the Rebirth season 4. But I will say be careful with this because I ended up chipping part of it trying to get it out. Because the idea is you can put that in there. But once you get to this point, it starts getting a little bit tight. So I would recommend not doing that. I think I'm actually chipping paint off elsewhere too. Either sanding this down a little bit more to give you a bit more room or whatnot, because I was using tweezers. I ended up using my teeth to get this out because it was the softest thing I could use to get it out without ripping a whole bunch of paint off. So you do have the key and you do have Vector Sigma, which that was a nice addition. I never thought I'd have a Vector Sigma, and God help me if they have a transforming Vector Sigma one of these days. But that is a nice addition, and also getting the key. So that is great, and of course, someone can hold the key if you really, really, really want to. All right, size comparisons. Let's get the big one out of the way first. Here they are with MP10. As you can see, quite big. Individually, because why not? Here, Alpha Trion is with sweep, which, like I said, they use the exact same mold and everything. It's just reworked. So also that is a lot more angled and whatnot, and I think there might actually be a piece under there that sort of sits better. I don't know. So there is sweep. I'll just move our Trion to the side for a moment because we're bringing Orion back in. Here he is with Power of the Primes. Orion packs. I know it's just Optimus Prime without power armor on, but honestly, I've always preferred this as my Orion. So there we go. All right, now I'm going to have to pause for this because this is going to be fun trying to get them all in. So I was going to do something else, but I've ultimately decided against it because honestly, it will just be a lot of very repetitive eventually. But if we bring these two back, here it is. Whoops. Here they are with Primer Prime. And due to the way he's looking, I'm going to re-articulate his head a little bit. So as you can see, he's a little bit taller than Alpha Trion. But they do look good together, and trust me, they really look good together. I am seriously considering how many of the primes I've got now. I really think I need to do each of those review for now and leave the other ones alone and just do the actual primes. So there we go. So if you liked this video, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like this video, give me a thumbs down. I promise you it will not hurt my feelings. Beg my pardon. Subscribe, ring that bell, leave me a comment. And apart from that, thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.